we got Gov back because his internet was messed up last review show, so you guys missed some of his review takes. So if he wants to do that off the top, that'd be all right. But we did lose Donnie, so I got one of them back, but we lost Donnie. He was having some car trouble late last night, so he couldn't join us this morning or this afternoon rather. But so we're gonna go ahead and do the show as it is. We're coming, I think, a little bit early. I do potentially want to talk about the DraftKings lawsuit at some point. I actually want to do some almost a deep dive into that, kind of like a monologue, but we'll save that for another show. But I do have some takes on that. But week 15 is an interesting week. I think it's very fascinating, Gov, because what we're seeing is the highest scoring game with the Lions and the Bills is low projected game. And then I think a lot of people are seeing a lot of blowout games. Like if you look over at the spreads, which we're going to do here in a minute, the Giants is I think minus 16.5 against the Ravens. So we're seeing like a lot of games, which we're not used to because of bye weeks. We're used to kind of that season long perspective. That's no longer there. Teams are more in the playoffs now. Some people just forgot about DFS. So I just think this is an interesting week. And I think like handovers or people that really put a lot of strategy or theory into it can really attack these weeks. But I've always been kind of on the fringes on that mindset. I always think that like this is the time for us to do really well on lineups. But some people think that this is kind of the boring time until the playoffs. What do you think?
Well, I mean, this is that weird week. Yeah, everyone who was playing best ball, this is the first week of their playoffs, so they're now more focused on that. You're right. A lot of fantasy football, season longs, like you said, they're hitting their playoff brackets now. So people are looking at different things on different ends at that point. I can see how your take. I agree with that. DFS is probably going to start getting more. This is where it's going to start taking its downhill turn at the end of the year, where people stop playing it because teams are out of it. What are you going to do? It's like playing NBA in March.
Yeah.
It's everyone knows if everyone who's actually able to play season long NBA DFS, which is a grind and a hassle. Oh my God. But everyone who knows that also knows what March NBA is. And that's even crazier. So this is what we're getting into, the crazier part of the NBA or the NFL season, where people are more prioritized on other things at the end of the year, like season-long leagues. They're looking at best ball matchups.
Yeah.
So they might be more skewed to those best ball. Some people will hedge when they why would you hedge your best ball? Okay, I got a couple of teams across. They all have these guys. So I'll play lineups with playing it the other way.
Yeah.
Where if my best ball doesn't go off, my lineups should do good. And that's not don't play like that. Please, people, please.
Right. That's kind of the larger conversation I want to have.
And don't do that with your bets either. Don't be making stupid no.
Right. I've already heard of people doing that in the prop market, being like, well, I need Mike Evans to do well in my best ball, so I'm just going to bet him to have over 100 yards. It's then you're doubling down. So, if you want to believe that narrative, then fine, play it.
If you want to do that, it's I still wouldn't recommend that, but, that's at least something okay, you have a conviction, you're willing to throw money at it.
Yeah.
Don't bet the house or the bank or nothing, but okay, whatever there.
But even still, we do plenty of off-season content, Gov. That's when you should be taking your season-long takes and being I want to have a futures bet here. I want to bet this team to win the division here. That's when you should be doing it. Not so much now. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So, we always.
And you can be wrong. I had a season long. You can go back and watch us. I thought the Steelers were going to be the worst, one of the worst teams in the league, and bottom of that division.
Yeah,
I was wrong there. That did not happen.
And sometimes you'll get things wrong, and it just fortunately happens. Work out for you. That team that we advanced in best ball has J.J. McCarthy and Addison and Hawkinson because we were taking the low-owned pieces with the Vikings, assuming that we got a rookie quarterback that's going to be taking a bit longer to develop. By the time he develops, the secondary pieces will start to really blossom. That was the idea, that I had with that lineup. Now it turns out that JJ gets hurt, so JJ is a 0, so that looks bad. But it just so happened the week that we really needed a blow-up week from one of our wide receivers was the week we got Addison, and that's what pushed us through the advancement. So sometimes you get fortunate, basically making good process decisions. So that's still what I want to do, and I think a lot of people are going to overthink this week, and I think me and you can attack lineups, in this show pretty well just by using our everyday knowledge and not overthinking this week because it's best ball week or because you need something. You don't want to double down like you were saying too much one way or the other. Speaking of doubling down though and doing some wagertainment style bets, do you have anything on the? Well, I guess we could do a show pick. We're without Donnie, so we're a bit out of a rhythm here. But our show pick was the Seahawks at 2.5, right?
Yep, Seahawks plus 2.5. They've been just such a good team all year. I don't see any reason why they can't at least keep pace and push with Green Bay. It should be a good, fun Sunday night game, honestly.
Yeah, I actually think this game will be good. We usually see Geno Smith at this point in his career doing a bit better in dome-like environments. So I think having no weather, might help DK Metcalf get loose a bit more down the sidelines, which they're missing. But JSN's looked really good. I don't know. I think the Seahawks are on the uptick. And then, I'm not saying that the Packers will be terrible, but they also like to run the ball. So I don't see a lot of scoring where it's like this game will get out of control one way or the other, even if the Packers were to win.
Well, they're not playing in a dome, Logan.
Are they not?
Seattle's not a dome.
Well, I did bet that.
They are playing at home, but Seattle is not a dome. Although I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like. I'm sure it'll be fine.
See,
but still, home dogs. I'll take the points. I don't
know. I just assumed everyone was in a dome these days. I guess I've been reading too many Buffalo news reports, and I just want everyone to be in a dome at this point. I guess that's kind of what talking about futures. But
all right, Logan. I will cede it to you. You take the first pick.
Let's see. So I was telling you before, I want to stay away from that Giants-Ravens game. I don't know about you, so I don't want that. I will take the Dolphins, who are highly motivated. They cannot lose. They have to beat the Texans. You could argue that they might be better than the Texans just on the money line. So I want the Dolphins at +3.
Okay, Dolphins +3.
I
can see that. Their offense has been clicking lately. This game has a lot of things that make it look like it could be solidly paced. Defenses aren't amazing on either side. So both quarterbacks should be able to initiate their offenses, and both are very effective quarterbacks. There's no reason this game can't have a lot of points. And in a game that has a lot of points, Miami will just can definitely keep up or win.
And this just seems like the rain check game for both teams in the AFC. We thought
here's a game in a dome in Houston.
Right. Thanks for specifying. But I honestly, I do think this is kind of a rain check game for the AFC where we thought both teams were different commodities. We would have thought, our season-long projections would have thought both teams would be in the playoffs. They both need this game. The Texans have looked really bad of late. The Dolphins have looked better with Tua, but they're still not trustworthy. They're still that okay, this is nice sometimes, but there's no consistency there yet. We haven't really seen either team at full capacity. We've seen enough sparks or glamour that we like what we see when it works, but both teams haven't shown that consistency all year. So I just like this one from an AFC perspective and want to get a piece of it.
All right. Well, I'm going to take mine, and that is going to be Arizona over New England.
I like that one too.
Yeah. I believe it's -6 right now.
It's one of the afternoon games. It is -6, yes.
Yep. I'll take Arizona to cover. I think Arizona has no problem putting up points and scoring 40 if they want to. And New England probably can't stop them. And like this AFC West is very weird because the Rams are winning and they look really good.
Yeah.
But if Seattle keeps winning, they're right up there and have some tiebreakers and stuff. But if Arizona keeps winning, they play all of them and can just win the division. But they do need to keep winning. But they're all like within a game of each other. So like this division is like, it's like a better version of the NFC South where we all suck and one of us is going to get in. This is the division where it's like, well, if the NFC North wasn't there, we'd have probably 2 playoff teams.
Right.
Like last year, you would have had the Rams and San Fran. They end up getting a playoff team. This year, it's like all of the North teams got so hot that they're all going to end up in.
This is why some people want you to go to more of a tier ranking system with the playoffs, where it's like, the Packers, Lions, and Vikings get in. The Rams, Seahawks, and Arizona get in. But I actually kind of like the division. I think it adds parity to the league.
Yeah, I do too.
Some years it's not going to work out, but I think that's part of the fair weather kind of effect of football. Like I do think there's different storylines that can be told, and it doesn't always have to be mathematically correct all the time for the best matchups. I do think that actually lends itself to good matchups in the playoffs and good storylines. But you are right. This game is polar opposites. Like I could see not that they're going to try to lose, but like the Patriots have no incentive to win. In fact, their only incentive is really to lose. Like they do gain draft perspectives and picks and stuff like that. So I just don't think that they will be motivated to win a whole lot. I like this pick a lot, actually.
Yeah. All right, and we'll snake it. So I will take my next one, and with that one, I'm gonna take the Jets. Yeah, -3 over the Jacksonville. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how much I like this one, but like the Jets have looked better.
They have
better as of late. So like Jacksonville, who has been horrible all year, except for last week where the Titans were horribler. But okay, so but I think Aaron Rodgers is not as horrible as Will Levis. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, we're at that laughable point.
Or at least Devontae Adams is not as washed and Garrett Wilson is not as worse as that stuff.
Well, literally, that's the idea of playing them in DK or DraftKings this week is they're too cheap, and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson are just going to, say like, let's just play backyard football for the remainder of these games and have fun because we need to put up statistics and stats so we get paid, whether that's with the Jets or elsewhere. They kind of have a camaraderie. So, like, they might try to pass more on the goal line situations and stuff like that. I do know their price is too cheap, but it is weird how often the Jets have been favorites this year, given how bad they've been. So I want to stay away from this game. I don't see why people like it, but I understand why you would take it. If I bet anything in this game, it might be the under. I just don't know if these teams can score points. But that, to your point, they have looked better. So I don't know. I just want to stay away from this game. It gives me a headache, Ghost.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, what's your second pick?
This is where I don't know because, I'm going to take this because I think the hates went too far. I think everyone just wanted the Kansas City Chiefs to be a high-scoring offense, and they're just not that team, but they're still a very good team. I think -4 against the Browns is not enough. I do think they will cover that easily. Jameis Winston literally has proven he can throw away games no matter how much faith he wants to put into his arm or elsewhere. It hasn't been good for the Browns. Maybe it's been slightly better with Jameis, but I still think there's a huge mismatch here. And sure, like I said, the Chiefs might not have the offense, firepower that everyone thought, but their defense is very good. I could see them easily covering 4 points.
See, that scares me just because, like, the Chiefs actually, like, when it look at it, they actually do have a high-powered offense with everyone in.
Yeah,
Like,
they do.
Pacheco, Hunt is two solid backs that you can rely on. Hopkins, Juju, Worthy are three very talented wide receivers, albeit old, banged up, and inexperienced. And then you still have like the husk of Travis Kelce out there running routes that can just catch a ball.
And by the way, since you mentioned it, Hollywood Brown also practiced this week. So it's not like he will play, or maybe he won't play a lot, but like they
No,
are.
but like if he is like if you're telling me instead like what is they had all these times winning Super Bowls? It's been like maybe one good receiver with maybe one speedster, and then like stuff like Justin Watson and Nicole Hardman running deep routes. And
Yeah.
if you're telling me now you have Hopkins, Juju, this Xavier Worthy, and then like maybe you have like Hollywood come in for 10 snaps and run like two or three like deep balls.
And let's not pretend like Noah Gray hasn't looked explosive. So like even with Travis Kelce not looking as explosive, they've proven that Noah Gray has been a fair weather replacement in that regard as well. So I like this team quite a bit. All right. I think we're set. So
yeah,
it seems weird, like I said, our timing's off because Donnie's not here.
Yeah, it's probably going to end up being a little bit of a shorter show, but that's fine.
That's fine as well. But I do like this week a lot. I think a lot of wide receivers, for that matter, are underpriced. I do think it's a interesting build week because there's no like screaming value, but there's a lot of 5K guys and like low 6K guys that I think are mispriced. So it's weird because there's no like screaming value, but I think there's a lot of misprices, if that makes any sense. I'll get over to the lineup now.
Yes, I see our best ball is like it's not. We'll need to take a look at that on. Well, hopefully it gets through this week and we can look at it on Tuesday.
Hopefully.
Let's pray. Hope and pray, everyone. Hope and pray.
We have a lot of uniquenesses on that team. I'll say that.
Or if you want to hope and pray for me personally, Jaden Reed, please.
Oh wow, it would be a Jaden Reed.
It would be Jaden Reed as my like one dude where it's like if he goes off, no one else has him, and I fucking win.
I was gonna mention you dropped off. I should mention it on a review show. I told Donnie, I joked about it at the end of one of our shows that Kendra Miller might actually make our starting lineup at some point. It was last week when we needed it the most. Kendra Miller, because of that touchdown, got there against the Giants. So you never know. Maybe this is Reed's week to really surprise people. It would be.
I need a massive Jaden Reed versus Seattle week. Oh God.
I would say though we are in good shape just quickly because there was a lot of people in our bracket or in our pool that had Brock Purdy stuff. And some teams that had like Godwin and stuff like that. So there's some teams that are down bad. But Brock Purdy was owned by more than two people in our pool, so that was really, really good for us. Speaking of teams that are good for us, so go ahead and shoot out some value. I have a couple names, but let's start with quarterback.
All right, quarterback. So like when I'm looking at value at quarterback, like everything I'm looking at with my numbers, like Rodgers versus Jacksonville at 5,400. Jameis Winston might be the chalkier one at 55 against Kansas City. And that's about it. I don't think anyone's playing Mac Jones. I personally like the Bryce Young or Cooper Rush from that Dallas-Carolina game, but those quarterbacks aren't getting any ownership.
Yeah.
They're just like it's the running backs from that game that are getting ownership, like Chuba and Rico. So like that might be why I love that leverage of Bryce Young or Cooper Rush.
I do like Bryce Young this week, but I like Young anyway, so I don't want to be biased.
I'm a Panthers fan. I'm completely biased, but yes, I like Bryce Young this week.
See, you get to buy into the bias, and you're not like I really just love the talent. I think
I would pick one of Rodgers or Winston and plug him in just so we have like our 5K quarterback.
Just to have. I also like Drake May at the rate.
Like there's plenty of pay up options. There's Josh Allen you can always pay up for. There's Lamar who you can pay up for on the slate. There's Mahomes who you can pay up for on the slate. There's Jaden Daniels who you can pay up for on the slate. Like there's plenty of that. Or you can just play the mid range. Like there are 6K guys you can always play.
Yeah, I like that low 5K range though. Drake maybe would be the highest in that range. There's some interesting names there. I do
play
think
this, like Tua could work. Like who knows?
Jacksonville just plays a very weak man defense too, and it's pretty
Stroud.
easy to find out. So I like Rodgers this week just fine.
Like there are a lot of actual like good quarterback choices this week. I'm not sure if anyone I'm trying to find out where the ceiling game is going to be, but like Rodgers is in a ceiling game environment if he wants to just put up points against Jacksonville and look good.
Mm-hmm. If you were gonna just like punt at running back, I wouldn't advise it this week. I think there's some cheap options, but I wouldn't punt. But if you were going to punt, I do think Vidal saw more rushes than Gus did for the Chargers this week. And then it looks like Bucky Irving might sit as well. And then Tony Pollard has not practiced very much, if at all, this week. Now, that's happened before where the veteran literally doesn't practice at all for Tennessee, and Spears still didn't see the workload. But if Tony was ruled out and Spears was the only viable guy, that would be a very good price because I think he's like 4,500. So... But without knowing any of that, it's hard to make that distinction. He's 43, so if Tony was to sit, but I don't expect Tony to sit because he's played injured before. You're not going to Vidal or anything. That's something only.
No. I'm currently scoping. I'm like, okay, so like Chalk, like I said, is coming from the Dallas Carolina game. Rico is 61. It's not exactly cheap, but like you can throw him in there. He's chalky. He's fine.
He's chalky.
If Bucky were to miss, then Rashad White becomes your cheap chalk.
I have heard there's a good chance that Bucky does miss. Like so, if you're comfortable with that, I'm playing this week as if he misses. So if you're comfortable, I would say White is a viable option. I do agree with Rico that we can plug Rico in.
Now, looking down here, like Ramondre versus Arizona at 59, like I said, 58 for Rashad if Bucky were to be out, but that's hard to find out.
Yeah, the Buccaneers have some weird injuries as well. They have Shepard is also a wide receiver, so you could get a McMillan really cheap. That might up Mike Evans' target shares.
My big thing looking right now that I will probably have to dig into, but I kind of like Indy's defense is not good. Like I'd love to play their run game, the Denver run game against Indy.
The Denver run game.
But like last week, like snaps went to Javonte, but like McLaughlin got more carries. So it's like, what's the hot hand gonna be?
I like Chuba Hubbard. I know we talked about that game. Dallas has given up to running backs all season long. Now Brooks is out. Chuba's only 6,500, and he's what he averages like 25 touches a game, and he had one week with Tampa where he got 12, but I think that was the game where you really debuted Brooks.
Well, I mean, that was the game we had some of Brooks. Like it's Tampa, they stopped the run.
Yeah, but if I look at it,
Bryce Young had a good game throwing the ball.
Yeah, exactly. But if I looked at his averages, even the weeks he didn't get the attempts, his averages are good, and he gets receiving work as well. I like Chuba Hubbard.
Him not getting any catches against Tampa was like a testament to Tampa or us just being stupid or something.
So I'm going to plug Chuba unless you think there's a reason we shouldn't. I know this is a little bit higher than we normally, but there's no one that's really a screaming value.
That's the thing. Like you're right. Like there's no one really under 6K this week that's popped up yet. That's super viable. Like you would need someone to be out. Like Breece Hall all of a sudden is ruled out tonight. Okay, Braylon out. But like that's not going to happen probably.
Yeah, and it looks like Hall wants to play, and that's the thing. I think earlier this year we did that. We put in Chestnut thinking Tony Pollard was going to sit because Spears was out, and then we were stuck in that lineup. So I kind of want to show people a different variance of, yes, this is a value lineup. You're looking for value, but there are times when there just isn't any. And then like last week, there was so much value. Isaac Garendo, Chuba Hubbard, or not Chuba Hubbard, Charbonnet, Zach Charbonnet was, in there. And you had to make the Brees Allen, determination. This is not that week. I do think there's some cheap wide receivers, though.
Yeah, so like this is fine to start for our value. All right, so what's your first cheap wide receiver? Let's go through one of those. I haven't found much, but like there's some.
McMillan's there because it looks like Shepard might sit. He's like 3,600. Mike Williams is there because Pickens is out. You have the Patriots wide receivers as always. Boutte or Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, I don't mind either of those guys actually. I'd have to look at the snaps on whichever one is doing better. I
McMillan's seen more targets. And this was also a game where the 7 targets was also a game where Shepard played. It looks like Shepard might sit.
Oh, Mac Hollins is good because he's like a touchdown monster for like he gets so many good end zone and red zone. Like it's Mac Hollins. Like even with Kincaid back, like I'd still say like he's a solid value. You could plug him in.
He does get a lot of work, and it is one of the highest scoring games that Detroit and Buffalo game, and people are not going to know how to stack it or just going to go to the high price guys. Hollins would allow you to do a lot.
Yep.
I have a really good value at tight end, but like I said, Mike Williams is there as well with Pickens out. He saw work, and the 6 points was good enough for his price tag. I like Kendrick Bourne. Donnie's not here to tout his Patriot, but I do think Kendrick Bourne's getting enough work, and he's also getting some rushing attempts as well. Interesting is enough as well as Mims is also seeing work in the Denver backfield as a running back. So I know he's a value that some people are talking about. He's actually seen some like Deebo Samuel type rushing attempts as of late. So these are some options. Last week's game looks tremendous because he had a 93-yard long touchdown. So that's why the box score looks so inflated on his score. Any of these guys stand out to you, though, Gov?
Not really. Like honestly, like I haven't like last wide receiver in. I'm looking at like what's an actual value points per dollar. Like one of the guys I love this week is Adam Thielen. Like he's essentially the number 1 wide receiver at 5,400. Like it's not a 3K like super cheap value. Like I said, like we don't just need like a random cheap guy that we hope is going to be good. I just want good value plays, and like a 5K number 1 wide receiver is a good value play.
And this late in the year too, we talked about
Mac Hollins getting targets at 3,800 is a good value play.
Exactly, and we talked about like DraftKings adjusting and people getting a lot smarter and just like so you're not going to see as much randomness or craziness, and then with more games available as well, they're going to change their pricing. We're going to see more late games. I think there's 5 late games this week, so it is a bit of a different slate. And if you don't adjust, then you're making a mistake. I do have a tremendous value though. If you don't know, Stone Smart for the Chargers is the only tight end available. Basically, that has any viable catching skills. Was a former quarterback in college, then was transferred to a wide receiver, and now is a tight end for the Chargers. Basically, a development guy, hadn't had many snaps until this season because of injuries, and just smashed. Unfortunately, he's going to be probably high owned, Gov, because he smashed on a primetime game, but they only priced him up by $100. So I just think this is a almost plug and play, and you see what else you can do around it. But I want to get your thoughts because you're not quite the value hound that I am often. So maybe you have a pushback thought or a different name out there. I can pull up the box score as well. I mean, he just saw a ton of usage, and Will Dissly is out, Hayden Hurst is out, and the only other fullbacks or tight ends they have is like a 300-pound defensive tackle that's a hybrid, and then I'm trying to think of his name, Anthony Frisk or something like that. So this is really the only inline pass catcher they have.
Yeah, I think people are skewing with what happened last week.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
And not just specifically, because I remember going through last week. It was a showdown game, so we were looking at showdown stuff, and that was one of the games. So I was noticing specifically that not just because of the offensive side using the tight end, but because of the defensive side letting it up to tight ends was one of the main reasons we wanted to play Dissly. And I played Dissly over Palmer, and then Dissly gets hurt, and Palmer has all the points, and I'm like literally a Dissly over Palmer away from like the right stuff to have.
Yeah.
So like, hurts your face, but like remembering that and moving forward with it, like in a review, it's like, okay, that spot was good. What do we have here? I don't see quite as good of a spot for the tight end, so I think it might go elsewhere than Stone Smart.
It could.
I'm not sure I trust this like 2,600 tight end chalk, but like it's also possible because Chargers do use their tight end.
What I love about it is that he's such a raw prospect, and he's shown the ability to catch and run. Like he was averaging 18 yards per catch. So like he's not just a stick and move guy where it's like he catches the ball and falls down. And I do think like you could even like I know we don't want it, but sometimes we don't even talk about it. But you could take a 0 or like a 2 points from Stone Smart and
it's very hard for me to. I'm glad you took that off the screen. I'm sorry. It hurts my brain to see someone's last name Smart with 2 T's. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, we won't bring it up, but we'll keep him in the lineup for now.
Yep. All right, so let's grab a defense, and then we'll have the flex and the money.
Yep.
All right, my list. I mean, to be fair, like that was my cheap defense. Was the Chargers defense?
Was it? That works for me. I think they're underrated defense still.
I mean, there are 2 that I have on my list that are cheaper, but I don't like them.
Are we going Giants? Because they are like historically.
Why? Yeah, yes, but no. Why? How? How'd you know that was one of them?
Well, I do think there is some historical evidence. So, like, we don't normally get $2,100 defenses. Like, that just doesn't usually happen.
Okay, if you don't want to do that one, because I don't want to do that one. So if you don't,
I mean, honestly though, since we're on the topic, what are you looking from a defense like that? You need what, like 4 points? Like honestly, we don't.
Well, no. Like I still need it to be like a decently like it's not that I need 4 points from it. When it comes to a defense, it's like if I'm paying min salary, I don't need you to be the top defense on the slate, but I can't have you in like the bottom 10. You need to be like a top 8 scoring defense. Whatever that is. If the top defense is 20 points and the 8th defense is 11 or 9 and your defense is that, it could work.
Yeah.
It won't help like you probably need that 20-point defense. Like that's to be fair, that's a crazy scenario. But
I do think
if all the defenses are just like 15 points or less, yeah, you could get like 9 or 10 out of this defense and be perfect.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have that 15-point defense.
I get it. The Giants have been historically bad this season. They are a historically bad franchise. The
other one I have is Cleveland. If you want to take the Browns above them, that's why I think we just take like the Chargers.
I like the Chargers.
All the ones in that all the ones in that 3K range: Chargers, Philly, Houston, Arizona. All of them really look good. So like there's a good chunk of defenses this week. Like, no one stands out greatly, which is why, like, this week is the one week where, like, I legit wrote down, like, 7 defenses, but to be fair, 3 or 4 of them are probably good. And those 3 or 4, like, if you want my absolute favorite defense, it's Arizona at 3K. But the Chargers are probably our third. So they're 2,900.
So who's the best, like, because with our last pick, we usually do it like a guy that might be cheaper that we just absolutely love. Is there anyone like that this week where it's like, I love him, but he might be too cheap, and so I think we have to get him
in? Tyreek. That game environment with Houston looks really, really good. He had a nice, solid game last week, quietly.
Yeah, Tyreek.
Quietly, while everyone else is nuking, Tua nuked, and Tyreek had like 28 points.
Yeah, I do like Tyreek a lot. Now, he got a lot of volume this week, which hasn't happened most of the year. So I think a lot of people are just chalking it up to that. But, like, he is still a big play receiver. So I don't even need the 14 targets. If I get that, like, 18 or 20-point game, somewhere in between what he did last week, it's still very good.
Now, other than that, all right, let me hold on.
So
plug it in my DraftKings here on my screen. All right, other than Tyreek,
I like Harrison this week a lot. At like 5,300, you were talking about that Arizona game.
Yeah, him at 55 or 50. What is it? 55 or 53?
Yeah,
something like that. Like, that's not bad. I kind of like Shakir for Buffalo too, but we have like.
Do me a favor, Gov. Keep talking about what you like. I'll be right back. I gotta use the restroom.
You are good. All right, so like let's see in the flex, like Cook is a good play. Like loving that Buffalo Detroit game, you could go with any part of that game. You could even play like Monty or Gibbs. Like that's a very solid play here. Like gotta love the Jackson. Like we have Rodgers, so like we could 100% just play either Garrett Wilson or Devontae Adams. Like those would both also be fine plays here with what we want to do. Cortland Sutton should pick up a lot of targets. Like again, what we were talking about with Mims, like what I talked about with Javonte as a maybe cheap running back play. Like Sutton should be the beneficiary of a shitty Indianapolis defense. Brian Robinson, I've seen a lot of. Like, he's in an amazing spot, too. It's 6,200, but, like, so is a lot of these guys. Like, Neighbors actually could put up numbers against Baltimore, who has not been great defensively all year, but has been amazing offensively, and because they are run oriented, they can control these games. So there's that. Like so Shakir, Judy, like you have no Tillman, so the condensed target share of you have no Tillman and no Njoku.
That's actually a very good point about the Ravens, though, because they have been so good against the rush. They do like to just give it up to the pass. And Neighbors obviously being the Giants' best weapon. They have been very good offensively, and so I think their defense. I think everyone just historically thinks of the Ravens as a good defense. They haven't really been this season. I would want to move off of Mac Hollins myself. Anyone that you want to move off of? I do like the Tyreek Hill call, by the way. I really like that a lot.
Let's see. So in this lineup, yeah, the first guy I would want to move off of would be, honestly, McMillan over Hollins.
It would make sense to move off McMillan because we're playing the Chargers defense too.
Now we have all the money in the world. Like again, I think we should stack Rodgers if we're going to keep him in here. Now here's the thing: because of what we have in the lineup, there's not like we weren't left with like 9K or 8K. We were right at the 6K mark that we wanted to start. So we only have like enough for maybe a pivot or two. So I think with this wide receiver out, we need to either stack him with Rodgers or figure out what other quarterback we're going to play.
That is the question, I believe. We do have Garrett Wilson, who's really cheap. He's only 6,300 this week, goes.
Even Devontae Adams is sub 7K. So like it's not even that bad. We could switch from Rodgers to Stroud and then try to get in Nico. That might take up a good chunk of our salary.
We could, and I do.
And that would also give us like a great like stack to go with our Tua or our Tyreek.
Yeah, I like that.
There are a lot of ways we could go. Like this is a great chunk of value from a lot of good games. There's chalk, but there's great value here. And all you need to do is like pivot your Rodgers, pivot your wide receiver, maybe pivot one other thing, and you can make this a very solid lineup anywhere. Like you could go Rodgers with Adams. You could go, you could take out Rodgers and put in Josh Allen with Shakir and have the double of him, or Josh Allen with J-Mo and have the double at the bringback.
Yeah, I do like Jameson.
Like you could plug in Kyler with Marvin Harrison, who is cheap in here, and maybe have enough money to get up to the McBride or something. Like there's a lot of stuff you can do here. You could do Stroud and Nico. Like there's a lot of stuff you could do right here with this lineup right now.
My favorite quarterback this week would be Kyler or Bo Nix, personally.
Jameson Judy could end up being in this lineup. Like that's the main decision. Like, what's your favorite stack of the week right now? That's where I wish we had Donnie. Like he could help us decide here what's a good, solid like game. Because like I love Josh Allen, I love Kyler, I love Jameis. I could do Jaden Daniel. Ooh. Let's do that. Get rid of Rodgers and see if we can do Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin?
Yeah.
That was really, really spicy.
Yeah, actually. I have an even spicier one, to be honest. If this doesn't fit. Okay. Oh, it fits.
It fits nicely.
It fits. Oh, it fits, and we could just go up at defense or go up from Hollins.
And that's the thing is, Noah Brown is also out this week, and he had been seeing a lot of targets. You know, people were talking about him getting more targets than McLaurin. I think McLaurin's workload's been just fine this season. Yeah, sure, he's had some bad games, but those were also games where the Commanders played bad.
He's been more than likely to have like that 20-25 game that you need from this Washington team than any other skill player on it. I definitely want to bet on McLaurin.
And to be honest with you, Gov, I'm okay eating that 2 points every so often with Terry McLaurin because in a week where he gets 2 points, I'm probably going to lose anyways, you know, especially if I'm stacking that game. But I love the fact that when they do hit, like when this stack hits, it's going to be very concentrated. It's going to be Daniels and McLaurin. That's proven because they also have almost 30 points, you know, games individually. So I like it a lot. Could we try to get to a Kamara here and make this?
Yeah, I think the only other thing to do would be decide. Yeah, I think like now if we're going to do this, like we have $600. That's not a lot. Yeah. What do we do with our dueling running back scenario? Do we want to change that up?
I think we change it and we leave Adam Thielen and we try to make that and try to get up to Alvin Kamara. That would be my initial thought.
Let's see. Okay. So
just because I do like that, I like the idea of attacking the Dallas Cowboys defense, but we already, you know, talked about liking Thielen. So if we got off of Chuba, we could keep or I mean, if you really think Chuba's a better play than Rico.
They're both really good plays. Like I don't know which one's a better play. They're both good plays. So
How
like
much money do we
I can
save?
agree getting off of Chuba since we're gonna leave Thielen.
We do
So
save
like if
money.
we did that, we'd have 71. But like at that point, I think I'd rather get the correlation and play like Montgomery. Like that's what we have the money for. We can't quite get to Kamara,
Yeah,
but Monty's in a really good matchup too.
it's true.
And like they're literally splitting Monty 50-50. So like passing game work, rushing stuff, like I it's not like they use Monty for this and they use Gibbs for that. Like they will literally use both for both.
They will use both. And I do think the Lions will attack with the rush game. The problem is I don't want to have to choose, but like the fact that you're here with me and you're willing to ride it, that does help. Like the fact that you've always been a David Montgomery guy over Gibbs anyway, so this makes sense.
The other one I would go is if you wanted to keep Chuba and have like the full Carolina game stack. Like let's say Bryce doesn't get there, but it's because Chuba and Thielen both get there.
Yeah.
And that's where the points come from. Say you get off Rico then. I wouldn't mind going to like James Conner against New England, although that's looking like not as good of a matchup recently as it used to be, but like there's still that. I wouldn't mind taking a shot if you think he's going to play on Breece Hall at 6,400. Like that is the most intriguing Q tag in that range, to be honest. Like Bucky Irving, yeah, that could open up Rashad White. Tony Pollard, yeah, that could open up Tajay Spears, I guess. Like how much is Tajay Spears? How cheap is he?
43.
Okay, see, like if Pollard is out,
if Pollard's out, he's
now Tajay looks absolutely amazing.
Right.
So like you have to be aware of that.
Even
but like Pollard has also done this before, not practice, limited practice, and then had 25 carries on Sunday.
Yeah. We literally played it in a show lineup, and I think Chestnut got like less than a point. So we've been a victim of it. You can actually go back and watch that. But I would agree, Spears would be a smash. In fact, I do think we'd have to have a conference call in the morning to have that discussion with even this lineup if that was to happen.
You could keep the dueling running backs, and then I would probably just maybe.
Could we turn Thielen into Harrison? Or do you like the fact that we could stack it with no Young?
No, I don't mind going to Harrison, or even again if we wanted to get a mini stack off Hollins, go to JMO.
Yeah, I like the JMO call better because it correlates.
Yeah, so let's keep the running backs and go to JMO off of Thielen.
Williams is really cheap in comparison to and I'm not saying it's wrong, but St. Brown has been priced up all year. But yet Jamison gets like 5 to 6 targets every week, just like St. Brown. It's very similar to Gibbs and Montgomery. Like there's never been a really high concentrated offense for Detroit, but yet you see Jamison is barely over 6K at all this season. So, and even the times he is, they put him right back down to 5K. So it makes no sense to me. But I'm not trying to be a homer. I see value there. So I like this Gov. I mean, obviously we take Tyreek out of the flex, and I'll adjust that after the show. But anything else you want to do?
I mean, do you want to do like a little dueling draft one?
Yeah,
just
we can.
Real quick between the two of us.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right.
No, I mean in this lineup there was nothing else. I liked it quite a bit actually. Yeah, let me get over to another lineup here.
Okay, so here's my stipulation with this one. You and me are going to draft this just like our normal draft real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We will show it to Donnie. He is allowed to change either the stack that we end up with or one player or one 2v2.
I see. I like that because then we'll
like he'll get to change 2 players essentially.
I like
however
that.
he wants.
Well,
but if he changes if he changes the quarterback, if he wants to change the quarterback, he's got to change the wide receiver that we'll have associated. However,
Okay.
you know we will. We're not going naked Lamar.
But here's the question: one, does he watch the show, or do we got to tell him this? And then two, the people are going to have to wait and see on the review show if he actually changes.
I'm springing this on him now, so however you feel.
We can spring it on him, but here's the thing though. Like, do you think he will, or do you think he'll keep it?
We'll see what we do with this lineup.
We'll
Again, I gave you the first in the draft, so I'll take the first one here.
Correct.
Chuba.
He's a great play this week.
I love him. I'm just going to play Chuba. I didn't play Chuba enough early in the year. He was being Chuba, and I should have played him.
No.
And now he has to be Chuba at the end of the year because no one's left.
It still kind of happens with James Conner, but it really reminds me of James Conner when he was in his prime and he would just get all the work. Like, never explosive, but just did everything. Caught the ball, ran the ball, was very efficient. And that's all Chuba's been all season.
All right. You go with 2 now. And then we'll 2 and 2 the rest of the way.
Yeah. So, okay. I want to get Stone Smart in there because I don't think you'll do it without me. And I think it opens up a range.
No, I won't. I definitely wouldn't. I would not play him. I would have.
I know.
I definitely would have played it. I would have spent $1,000 more and played a different tight end.
Exactly.
Definitely what I did. I would have done that. I definitely would have done that.
And that's the point is, like, you have to build a line with me and I have to build a line with you. So it forces us to have our styles.
So for you to get the lineup to look the way you want, you got to do this shit. And me, I'm just trying to put in good play.
Because I do want to know what you would do with the money because you don't normally build like that. So I like it a lot.
I mean, I'm willing to play a cheap one. I just don't see, like, it's not the same matchup as last week. So, like, I'm skeptical.
Yeah.
But it could work. It could work.
You know who's really good at play at running back we haven't talked about? And I don't get why he's that price ever, is Brown. Chase Brown.
He's finally up over 7K.
He is, but like he's getting a crazy workload. Like, I'll just play the workload between him and Chuba and be happy. Like, whether this line
I don't hate that, honestly. Like, Tennessee's not the greatest matchup, but they've also given up their fair share of, like, bad games.
Right. Honestly, though, if you looked at
and when they do, it's usually to a running back.
We're attacking Dallas on the ground and Tennessee. I like that. And then you put
Dallas, Tennessee, and then we, like, Carolina's the other team you would attack on the ground, but we're not playing I'm not going to.
We'll see.
All right. So now I get 2. Let's see. Put in the Arizona defense.
I like it.
To get my value defense in there, so it's looking like something I like. All right. And then we're going to throw Bryce Young in this lineup.
Young? You know, that's a guy that Donnie has never believed in. I think that's Donnie's chance.
He shall believe.
He wants to because we believe so strongly. Like, you can tell.
I believe that it is your turn for 2 picks, sir. Before I finish off our lineup. We have half the salary left for 4 of our 9 guys. Now, it is our entire wide receiver core and flex.
It is true.
But 6,300 per. We can do a lot with this lineup.
We can. And
to be fair, we technically already have a stack.
We do. So
What are you liking, Logan? You can literally do anything you want. Anything you want, you can do it.
Yeah, I think it's time I'm going to plug in Amari Cooper and I'm going to plug in St. Brown.
Oh, yes. I was about to say, please plug in a Detroit guy. Please plug in a Detroit guy.
Yeah,
and you spend money. Yeah, I love you, Logan. You spend money.
No, Brown usually smashes against zone.
You actually didn't. Our average is basically the same. You barely spent money.
It's because Cooper's too cheap, but Cooper finally saw work.
That's actually fair. Cooper is too cheap. If you went Shakir, they would have spent a little more money. I
Well,
love this mini, though. I'm with you on it.
It's very similar. Cooper's very similar to Tyreek Hill, where so far this season he was with a bad quarterback. Hill's situation was an injury with Tua. Cooper was just stuck with Watson there for a while. Got to a new offense, got to an explosive offense, but didn't know the offense. So then his numbers didn't look as good. He's finally started to see the workload now with 14 targets. He just missed the bonus because we played him last week. It would have been a 3-point difference. I could just see this being a smash. By the way, since we're on this game quickly, Gov, I don't understand why the ownership is so low on this game. It's got like a 56-point total, and it seems like projections are still not loving it. Is it because people are afraid to stack it? Like, why is that?
I have no idea. I don't think the projection. I don't trust projections this week when it comes to ownership.
Maybe not. I mean, I'm not
when it's telling
guy.
me that this is the low owned game that no one's going to play, and I look and it's like, nah, this is like a top 1, top 2 game on the slate, and everyone's going to want to play it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if you say it's low owned, then everyone's going to want to play it.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
We do see that.
Even the computers in the Sims will want to play.
Yeah. We do see that sometimes where the computers tell you something so strongly that you almost outsmart the system and try to hand build. So I do think this game is going to be higher owned than people think.
Let's see. What can I do with the money?
I will say, just to let you buffer, a lot of people I think we're going to go to Shakir. I actually like Cooper a lot. I think Cooper is the number 1 guy in Buffalo. So that's why I made that choice.
Ooh, will this work? Maybe? No? Yes. Could be.
Mike Evans could be interesting here. Cheap.
Ooh. How much is... We'll have money left over so that Donnie can tinker.
Yeah.
I want you to plug in... let's see. Make sure I have that right. He is 62.
I love the fact that we stacked Bryce Young with Cooper, actually.
Okay, first one you're going to plug in is Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy?
Yep.
Man, we are playing wide receivers that have huge target shares as of recent.
All right, and then that still leaves me at 63.
By the way, you might know this, but I don't know if the people do. Tillman is out this week. So Jeudy is the number 1 guy. There's no doubt about it there, along with Elijah Moore. Which, shout out to our best ball, is going to help out a lot because we have Elijah Moore with no Tillman for the Browns.
All right, and then... I'm trying to figure out where's the best place to go with the 6,300.
White?
This is a really rough one. I'll give you that. Like, I thought I had a plan in place, but then it's like, wait, where was I about to do? Hold on.
I don't know.
I just lost track of everything.
Well, you figured that out. I just realized something.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's in Cleveland. So, Pacheco.
I like it, actually. I would have never thought to play him.
Let's get crazy.
I would have never thought to play Pacheco, but it makes sense. Like, I talked about
not on my huge list, but like it's looking good.
I just assumed it was a 4:00 game. It is not. There's so many 4:00 games this week, and it's not the 4:00 game. So I'll fix that in the flex. But I like this a lot. I talked about how I think Kansas City is going to get back to scoring a lot more points, and they're kind of upset about just this idea that they don't score points anymore. This could be a Pacheco. I'm going to just show people I'm back game.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize McBride was $1,000 cheaper essentially than Harrison. That just seems crazy to me. But this could be the week that McBride is just a good play because he scores touchdowns. It's an interesting week this week.
It could be.
Now, most people won't do it, Gov. That's what I noticed right away building this line. I love this lineup, but most people will not take their quarterback and stack it with a running back. I think that theory has been misproven a lot. I think with the receiving upside of even Chuba, who gets like 4 to 5 targets a game, you can easily see this being viable. I think that strategy is long gone. I think that's an archaic kind of DFS mindset build where you can't have the quarterback and running back. You very much can. And Young has been running a little bit more too, showing some more mobility. So I like this stack a lot, actually.
I love how I feel like this is a stars and scrubs kind of lineup because I see Stone Smart, I see Bryce Young. It's like, oh, I see Jerry Jeudy, and in my mind I'm like, these are all shit guys. And there's a lot of cheap in there. But we're playing St. Brown, we're playing Chase Brown, we're playing Amari Cooper, we're playing that. It's like, okay.
I feel like,
but then everyone's like 5-6K, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
wait, this lineup is actually very balanced.
See, I think you like the way I think sometimes, but you hate the way I build because I go so extreme with the stars and scrubs that when we build lineups together, it forces me to have a little stars and scrubs mindset, but you don't allow that rubber band to stretch that far. So you rein me in a range that's very good, and then we end up liking the lineup quite a bit. So I did promise to get you out of here by 3 o'clock. I'm going to keep to that promise. We're without Donnie anyway, so there's nothing to say. This just means that Donnie will not confuse the afternoon, morning, and night when we say goodbye. So we should be good. Good afternoon, guys. Hopefully you guys will watch this even on Sunday morning, even so we can say good morning, good night. It doesn't matter. Have a good one. Be safe and have good bankroll management.
Peace out, everyone. Have a good Sunday.